The turmoil just went nuclear, and she has stopped talking. Honey Boo Boo and her family have disappeared from the public eye in 2025. Furthermore, the events that followed were far more dramatic than any TV show. This clan has completely turned their world upside down with unexpected court cases, abrupt custody disputes, breakups, and startling lifestyle changes. Prepare to learn the shocking truth about their current hiding places and activities. Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson, who is only 19 years old, is changing the definition of to be exposed to the spotlight as a child. She is now establishing a future away from the cameras and catchphrases that brought her fame, as she was once a tiny pageant queen and reality TV star. In 2025, Alana has made a bold and brave decision to change her life from being a television personality to a young woman determined to change the world by enrolling in Regis University in Colorado to pursue a nursing degree. The choice to pursue a nursing degree wasn't produced in a gentle manner. Alana talked openly about the events that molded her in interviews before the May 2025 release of her Lifetime biography, I Was Honey Boo Boo. Her early ascent to stardom on TLC's Toddlers and Tiaras, the turbulent years of Here Comes Honey Boo, and the highly public family issues that followed are all shown in the dramatized but intensely personal biopic. It also documents her emotional development away from viral TV and stage mom drama. Glimpses of the identity she had been struggling to recover. Alana didn't hide from the harsher aspects of her childhood in the same interviews. She talked about how her early celebrity affected her mental health and how her identity was defined by the pain of her mother's addiction and her broken family. However, she is utilizing those events as motivation for her goals rather than allowing them to define who she is. In one exchange, she said, "I've seen what pain looks like up close. That's why becoming a nurse is what I want. When someone else is feeling lonely, I want to be the one to be there for them." Alana has been able to move over the stigma associated with her reality TV history by attending Regis University. Colorado has provided her with normalcy, privacy, and, above all, perspective. With unexpected ease, she has embraced student life, balancing clinical training, academics, and the occasional media commitment associated with the release of her biopics. Additionally, she has publicly discussed the imposter syndrome She occasionally worries that because of who she was in the past, people won't respect her as a professional or student. But with each semester she finishes, Alana disproves her skeptics. Alana hasn't discarded her background, even if she has distanced herself from the entertainment industry. Rather, she's attempting to make it work. It wasn't simply a title, I Was Honey Boo Boo. It was an assertion of possession. The initiative allowed her to look back on her early years with an adult perspective and to take charge of her own story for the very first time. To guarantee that the representation was genuine and respectful, she even conferred with the writers as part of her active involvement in the production. The film emphasizes the loneliness, stress, and bewilderment she went through behind the scenes in addition to the outlandish episodes that formerly defined her. It served as a farewell and, in many respects, her last remark on Honey Boo. Next, in one of Mama June, Family Crisis's most intensely emotional scenes to date, the June 2025 episode brought about the long-awaited reconciliation between Alana Honey Boo Thompson and June Shannon, her mother. As Alana finally faced June about a terrible betrayal that had plagued her for years, cameras rolled. Her childhood earnings, which were supposed to be protected in a Coogan account, vanished. For the most part, what had been her prospective financial safety net had disappeared. But money wasn't the only issue in this dispute. It has to do with closure, accountability, and trust. The episode was the last in a series of tale that had been burning for years beneath the surface. For a long time, fans had been wondering what had happened to Alana's earnings from her early days of reality TV fame. Alana, like many child stars, was expected to have a Coogan account, which is a legally protected trust that guarantees a kid's earnings are safeguarded until maturity. However, Alana learned a startling reality on her 18th birthday. She had lost most of her money. In June 2025, spectators witnessed her at last make demands in an unvarnished, awkward conversation with her mom. June finally handed out a $30,000 check as a symbolic gesture to make up for what had been lost after tense back and forth. However, there was a terrible twist to even that recompense. According to Alana, only $10,000 of the total that ought to have been saved over the years was actually still there. It appeared that the remainder had long since been wasted or improperly handled, with no precise record of its whereabouts. Alana's response was very honest. The check was not celebrated by her. She didn't say thank you. Rather, she referred to the gesture as absurd, emphasizing that the emotional harm could not be repaired by money. She acknowledged that the money aids in her education, mentioning her nursing studies at Regis University in Colorado. However, it doesn't make up for what she did. It doesn't make up for all the years I questioned whether she even cared about me. The audience watched as a young woman battled for calm while attempting to manage the chaos created by an erratic upbringing. Still dealing with injuries that haven't completely healed. Her remarks resonated with the audience. Many others expressed their fury on social media on Alana's behalf, criticizing the check as being too little, too late, and applauding her maturity and self-control in the face of such a profound betrayal. Other people felt sorry for June, noting her personal struggles with addiction and rehabilitation, but also seeing that her actions had serious and long-lasting effects on her daughter. A major source of strain in Alana's life was exposed by the scene. How to move. Moving on while bearing the burden of the past. The financial transgression made her realize how brittle their relationship still is, even if they have had moments of healing in recent seasons. The money itself was essentially irrelevant. Alana desired responsibility and an honest admission that her early years had been taken advantage of. Alana's decision to reframe the scene was what gave the program even more impact. She turned it into fuel rather than allowing it to define who she was. She has advocated for the significance of financial literacy and independence for child stars, suggesting in interviews that she may eventually push for more robust safeguards and transparent application of Coogan rules. She stated quite plainly, "This shouldn't happen to anyone else. I'll be the one to discuss it if I have to." The emotional cost is still being determined, even though the $30,000 payment might help with tuition, rent, or textbooks. Alana's ability to handle such a betrayal with maturity has further enhanced her reputation as a who will not let her history to victimize her. She still chooses openness and honesty while concentrating on her education and creating a life that is very different from the chaos of her childhood. When talking about the harsh realities of her upbringing on reality TV, Alana Thompson turned 20 on June 27, 2025. Her first birthday since the untimely death of her older sister, Anna Chickad Cardwell, was a day of intense sorrow and reflection rather than a happy milestone. In late 2023, after a valiant fight against cancer. In contrast to previous years, Alana decided to celebrate in private, according to her own wishes, and with a strong message of peace and memory rather than mayhem and strife. Alana, who is known for being candid and outspoken, didn't hold back when describing why she chose not to bring her sister, Lauren Pumpkin Efford, and mother, June Shannon, to the birthday celebration. She stated in interviews before the date that she needed a place free from family strife, particularly on a day when she planned to pay a moving homage to her sister's memories. "I did not want this to become another outburst. All I wanted was peace for myself and Anna," she added. A symbolic and intensely personal homage that Alana had been secretly organizing for weeks, the Dove release ceremony served as the celebration's focal point. A few members of her extended family and close friends met for a moment of silence and introspection in a tiny private garden close to her college campus in Colorado for the ceremony. They released white doves into the air. Alana stood silently behind them, choking back tears and clinging onto a solitary childhood photo of herself and Anna. For someone whose life has frequently been shown on television, it was an uncommon, untelevised moment of vulnerability. It was not an easy decision to leave June and Pumpkin out. The relationship between Alana and both women is still complex, despite their times of intimacy. Her mother's prior emotional instability, legal issues, and addiction have caused long-lasting wounds. However, disagreements about authority, limits, and familial devotion have periodically come up with Pumpkin, who reared Alana during her adolescence, as well as family law. The family had first come together in grief at Anna's passing, but in the months that followed, old grudges started to reappear. Now living on her own and pursuing a nursing degree at Regis University, Alana has grown more assertive in defending her emotional and mental well-being. She clarified that the decision to keep June and Pumpkin out was made for protection rather than punishment. "I adore them. This was about me and Anna, but I will always adore them. I required an area where I could grieve as I saw fit, free from concerns about any complications." Alana commemorated her sister in ways other than the Dove release ceremony. She sent a rare and censored message on social media. "Thank you, Anna, but more importantly, happy birthday to me. Even in the worst of times, you showed me how to laugh, how to love despite suffering, and how to fight when everything seemed lost. It's for you today." Fans and former Here Comes Honey Boo Boo viewers flooded the comments with condolences and support as soon as the post became viral. Many acknowledged Alana's great emotional burden since childhood and commended her strength and maturity. There was more to it than a birthday. It was a moment of public healing and affirmation. Alana is making decisions about the next phase of her life, even if they require her to distance herself from portions of her history. The significance of the doves was not overlooked. For Alana, they stood for freedom, not only for Anna's soul, but also for her own path to self-reliance, harmony, and maturity. She gave herself permission to breathe, to grieve, and to start letting go in that moment, surrounded by friends rather than the turmoil she had grown up with. Alana stressed that the celebration wasn't about division, but admitting that it was painful not to spend the day with her complete family. It had to do with purpose. "This had to be a peaceful birthday. Perhaps my next birthday will be larger and noisier. It must have been holy. That was something Anna deserved." Let's now discuss Honey Boo's wonderful biopic in greater detail. The film revealed the ramifications of growing up under the influence of a mother who is struggling with addiction, even as it tracked the tumultuous ascent to fame that started with toddlers and tiaras and burst with Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. One of the most upsetting discoveries in the interviews and the film. The issue surrounding its publication was that Alana never got the money she was entitled to from her career as a child star. Alana, a vivacious 6-year-old with a clever catchphrase and unparalleled charm, contributed to her family's rise to fame, earning thousands of dollars per episode and generating enormous TLC ratings. However, the financial picture was much less glamorous behind the scenes. Alana stated in interviews for the biopic that she saw almost nothing during her early adolescence and teens of her earnings. Instead, throughout her well-publicized battles with drug addiction and reckless spending, her mother, June Shannon, wasted those riches. "Toddlers, tiaras, and Here Comes Honey Boo Boo didn't give me a cent." Alana's words were direct. "That money is no longer there. Long before I had the opportunity to touch it, it was depleted." Fans and supporters of child singers were outraged by the comments, particularly considering that Coogan accounts protected trust funds intended to retain a portion of. For many years, it has been common legal practice to confiscate a minor's entertainment profits. However, Alana's experience illustrated the fact that parents frequently have exclusive authority over those accounts and that enforcement is patchy. In her instance, it seems that insufficient safeguards were established, making her susceptible to the repercussions of her mother's addiction and financial mismanagement. Alana has not allowed the loss of her early earnings to determine her destiny, despite the fact that it has had a long-lasting emotional impact. She is a 20-year-old nursing student at Regis University in Colorado, and she is more focused than ever on establishing her own financial security. Lauren Pumpkin Efford, Alana's elder sister, is actively supporting that effort. She took over the role of guardian for Alana after June's life fell apart when she was a teenager. Alana has a new Coogan account now because of Pumpkin's management. This time, legally protected and strictly secured. Her current income from Wet TV is protected by this account, where she still makes appearances on Family Crisis, Mama June, and other spin-offs. It stands for more than simply cash. It represents her regaining control over her life and the future she is creating for herself. Back then, I had no control over what transpired, but now I do. Alana revealed in an open interview, "I will never again allow somebody to take from me. These days, everything I create goes into a locked-down account for my future and schooling." Involvement from Pumpkin has been a game changer. Having a child of her own, she recognizes early on the value of both emotional and financial stability. To make sure Alana's income is safeguarded, the sisters have collaborated with attorneys and financial advisors. Even while their relationship has had its ups and downs over the years, particularly as Alana has had to balance the demands of raising a younger sibling with her own expanding family, Pumpkin has been an invaluable support system in helping Alana forge a life away from reality TV. Alana's path to financial autonomy is similar to hers. Emotional development. She is finally learning how to handle her own money, make decisions about her schooling, and stand up for herself after years of being controlled, coerced, or disregarded. Regis Nursing School offers more than just a professional route. Her own struggles with addiction, instability, and trauma have inspired this personal goal. In many respects, the unfairness of losing her wages as a youngster is still unresolved. However, in mid-2025, June gave Alana a check for $30,000, purportedly as reparations. Only $10,000 of the missing money was indeed intact, which was a small portion of Alana's earnings. She referred to the gesture as absurd and emphasized that money could not replace the sense of betrayal she experienced. However, Alana is demonstrating that her value extends well beyond her income with every action she takes to balance employment, education, and self-care. As Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson keeps creating a life based on self-reliance and recovery, one relationship is conspicuously and purposefully missing from her life. That of Mike Sugar Bear Thompson, her biological father. Alana has made it plain that her father is no longer and probably never will be a part of her life, even though he appeared on Here Comes Honey Boo a few times in the early seasons. She stated in recent interviews and in her 2025 Life documentary, "I Was Honey Boo Boo," that she has no contact with Sugar Bear. She cited his extended absence, emotional maltreatment, and tense custody and visitation history from previous years. The issue with Sugar Bear is considerably more definitive, even though Alana has always been open about her strained relationship with her mother, June Shannon. After a brief period of co-parenting after the split from June, Sugar Bear gradually faded from Alana's life. Custody battles, missed visits, and mounting tension led to complete separation. "He's not in my life, and that's the way I want it," she said bluntly in a sit-down interview earlier this year. Alana does not lament estrangement. "You can't miss someone who was never really there," she continued. The people that have arrived are Alana's emotional and practical focus, particularly her sister Lauren Pumpkin Efford, who continues to be the most reliable mother figure in her life. Managing her own expanding family, June's addiction, and Alana's erratic conduct, Pumpkin brought Alana through her most trying adolescence. However, as 2025 approaches, Pumpkin is also going through significant modifications. Pumpkin, who is formally separated from her long-term spouse Josh Efford, is making a comeback to dating in a way that has generated a lot of criticism. She is currently seeing Darren Kitchens, who is her ex-husband Josh's cousin. On the family's WV series, Mama June, Family Crisis, the unusual relationship has been openly discussed and has become a topic of conversation among fans who have followed their life for more than 10 years. Pumpkin, who has always balanced being a sister, mother, and sometimes a mediator, is now in a vulnerable emotional situation. Dating again hasn't been easy because of the strain of the cameras, a recent divorce, and 4 little children. No matter how unconventional the match may seem, she hasn't wavered in her decision to pursue happiness on her own terms. Never one to hold back, Mama June discussed the connection on television with a mixture of incredulity and tacit encouragement. "It's not my job to call it messy." Although there is still disagreement among fans, Pumpkin is adamant about her right to reconstruct her life as she sees fit. In June 2025, June Shannon was given full custody of Caitlyn, the adolescent daughter of her late sister Anna Chickadee Cardwell, marking yet another significant change in the family dynamic. The family was devastated by Anna's untimely death in late 2023. Additionally, after a drawn-out hearing, the court finally decided in favor of June, even though custody of Caitlyn was first unclear. Our judicial procedure. Given June's turbulent past, which included her struggles with addiction, arrests, and instability, many were taken aback by the decision. However, June has made a concerted effort to rebuild trust over the past year by attending therapy and demonstrating consistent sobriety, both of which were significant considerations in the court's decision. The placement of Caitlyn with their mother is emotionally challenging for Alana. She struggles with a persistent mistrust of June's parenting skills despite her intense affection for her niece. Alana cautiously said, "I hope she's really changed for Caitlyn's sake," in a recent episode. As the family's reality TV story unfolds, it's becoming more and more evident that Alana is separating herself from the toxic cycles that once characterized her childhood, even though she hasn't publicly opposed the custody. Her relationship with June is still tense, as evidenced by recent standoffs over unpaid wages, broken promises, and emotional manipulation. Her relationship with Sugar Bear has also been severed. Though tested, her relationship with Pumpkin is still based on love and shared trauma, and her attitude toward June is best described as cautious optimism, hopeful, but unwilling to be hurt again. What do you think about Honey Boo Boo and her family's current situation? Please share your thoughts in the section below. We hope you have found this video useful, and if you do, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in our next video.